Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. The Last Ronin, issue number 2. I'm sorry I'm a couple days late doing this, but it was a hell of a lot quicker getting this review to you, even though it was late, than it was waiting for the damn book to come out, wasn't it? This was fantastic! And I'll tell you what, Raidu. Sorry, throwing in some Futhark there. I'll tell you what, this is probably the biggest thing that freaking IDW has done ever? Am I wrong? Like, this is a huge deal for IDW, so this is freaking fantastic. I hope that they find a way to put this together. Listen, I want to get into Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird and Tom Waltz, everybody who was involved for doing this, but like, it's just way too much. So just look, there's the people who were involved in the book. Bang. You're welcome. Okay, love that Nickelodeon's a part of this also. Like, that's just hysterical. So we start off, this is part 2, the first to fall, which is perfect because now that we know that, spoiler for the previous issue that came out 6 years ago, feels like it, Michelangelo is the turtle to have survived. And so the big question was, okay, well then how did everybody die? Of course, we have to find out who's the first one to die. Now, of course, it could have gone any way. It could have gone any way. What do you call it? Maybe it could have been that, Donatello, or not Donatello, yeah, maybe Donatello, like, oops, oh no, he winds up getting killed because he's the weakest of them all. He's the one who had his shell busted just a couple of years ago, right? That was a big deal for IDW also. See? Turtles, IDW, I'm saying. It could have been anything like that, right? But at some point, like, somebody was going to do something stupid, and then what do you call it? We knew that Raphael was going to wind up dying because he went off by himself. It only makes sense. I mean, when you consider the original story, which is one of the only ones that I'd actually read was the original story, and when you consider like the movies, specifically that first movie, Raph is going to go off by himself. He's going to get in over his head. He's going to wind up getting himself killed. That's exactly what winds up happening here. And it was interesting the way that it happened. He actually winds up dying by Karai's hand. Now, I'm not overly familiar with Karai. She just looks like an Elektra knockoff, which is perfectly fitting considering that the turtles were just a knockoff idea of, hey, that toxic waste that hit Daredevil and blinded him, essentially that would have had to go someplace, right? What if it went to the sewers and turned a couple of turtles and a rat into mutants? Yes, me sees. So having Karai being a visual, at least, knockoff of Elektra, perfect. Plus, she winds up dying by getting hit by a sigh. Hello, poetic justice. So seeing this murder, death, kill, nice reference there, right? This was satisfying. It's like the dude did not go out like a chump. He went out like a dumb idiot, but that's who Raph is. Like, he's the big dumb brute. He's basically the best way I could probably describe him. What the heck is his name? Go Gojin no Ru, the Book of Five Rings. Masaki Hatsumi? No. Oh crap. I can't remember his name, but like the most famous samurai ever. And Miyamoto Musashi, there we go. So Musashi Miyamoto. Here's just this really big guy who his mentor was a guy who kept on saying you only won because you're bigger than the other guy. It's like, oh, come on, I use style, I use this, I use that. He's like, yes, but if you were a smaller person and you didn't have that level of strength and that level of reach, you would have been destroyed. So the guy kind of went out of his way, Musashi, to learn how to be the best, not just because he was a huge freaking brute. And that's one of the things that did make him the best. He trained as though he wasn't a big guy, but of course he would still use everything to his advantage. God forbid he would die without both swords drawn, right? Well, die in combat at least. So that's kind of like Raph dying like this is the very epitome of him not learning what Musashi Miyamoto learned. So it's as fitting gets. And like, if they were ever gonna make another version of the Last Ronin, because they could just make 4 versions of the Last Ronin, where each of the turtles is actually the last turtle, and how would their story have actually worked? And let's be realistic, who the hell would not read that, right? Who wouldn't want to read a story where Raph was actually the last Ronin, or Donatello somehow was the last Ronin? Uh, Leonardo? Hell's yes. you know? But either way, he had the chance to go out with Casey, and it might have wound up killing Casey, but at the same time, it might have also been a situation where he would have had a couple less arrows and shuriken and swords stuck into him. So he might, and arrows, he might have actually survived it. I do like the idea, though, that if he would have been jumping and flipping and doing all that stuff, it would have alerted more of the foot what was happening. And that would have, in turn, more of them would have realized. And they'd be like, oh, shoot, draw your weapons, get in there. You know what I'm saying? It was the idea that for the longest time, he was just bowling right into them and taking them all down. They were turning, because we had their view. And that's what was so perfect about this scenery. We had the view of the foot where they're like, there's something happening. We can't see what the hell it is. But the idea that Raph just went in and he was just killing fools, like that was essentially that's what needed to be done. It's a shame that it happened the way that it happened, but that really is what needed to be done, unfortunately. Sparing your enemies isn't the ninja way. It's not even the samurai way. And these stories have always been convoluted. The idea of like Bushido is used to describe the ninjas, the way of the samurai is used for the ninjas. No, not even remotely close. So there's already a huge level of suspension of belief to begin with, to start the day out with TNMT. So when you have a scene like this, it was actually like it was really good. Tactically, it made sense. So I was already in, for the long run. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, damn, that is a solid way to go. He wasn't just an idiot and jumping around and stuff like that. And who better to not jump around? Um, Leonardo, as much more skilled as he is, at the end of the day, as soon as he would have jumped, more foot would have seen him, and more would have been alerted. Yeah, that he would have gotten even close to Karai. Anyway, seeing April all chopped up the way she is, we didn't see that battle. We saw they were all coming over for the announcement that they didn't realize there was an announcement that April and Casey wound up getting engaged to each other. It's funny, we see that her right leg below the knee and her left hand right below the wrist has been severed. So, like, that's a hell of a fight to see. And Mikey just wound up leaving that, which is like, I don't know, it is what it is. Seeing her hurt like that, it's like it's sad. Because let's be realistic, for a lot of us, April O'Neil is one of the first crushes that a lot of us guys had. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? We saw that cartoon and we're like, dude, yellow is such a good color. And redheads have always been a big thing in the comic books, right? And all of a sudden we see this one, like, hey, how you doing? How did we feel when we found out Megan Fox was going to wind up being the April O'Neil character, right? Psh, perfect. Anyway, the everything else that happened in this book, I don't want to get too much into the spoilers because obviously I want you guys to read the book if you haven't read the book already. Seeing how Mikey finally decided to come back, what he was thinking about and whatnot, you having the Bushido idea here, the seppuku idea here, I think was perfect, specifically for a character like Leonardo or Mike, because they would have gotten it. It would have been more traditional, would have been more at home. Remember, he's got his three brothers speaking in his head all the time. They're constantly speaking to him. They're always there. He's hearing their voices all the time because he's always been surrounded by them, right? So in this particular case, he probably would have been hearing Leonardo's voice. When he goes charging right into combat and whatnot, you notice that he's wearing the red bandana. It's not just and mostly using the sai. It's not just the idea that what do you call, oh, the red is what they originally wore. Actually, it was originally black and white, but the idea was that they were all supposed to be wearing red bandanas, right? Yeah, in this particular case, nah, it's more like that's who he's channeling, you know what I'm saying, to get into his fights. But the one voice that we're not hearing in his head? We're actually not hearing Master Splinter's voice in his head. We haven't seen the ghost of Master Splinter talk to him yet. I'm pretty sure they're saving that for the final issue. You know what I'm saying? Issue 4. Looking forward to seeing that because it might wind up being one of those. Remember the first movie On this day, I am most proud of you, my children, my sons. It's like, oh God, no, I'm gonna have a heart attack. It's so sad. I'm looking forward to that scene. Really looking forward to it. Also, hello, when you saw the Eastman drawings in here, and you just saw all the beautiful, sexy black and white. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, I'm kind of hoping at some point, if they do the other turtles, like if one of them was the final survivor, how cool would it be to see Usaki Yojimbo show up at some point? Sorry, maybe that's just me, but he showed up a couple times in the cartoon. Why not here? Um, oh, final thing. I loved one of the best scenes in here that I hope wasn't missed by anybody was April when she was getting out of bed. She accidentally dropped her foot. You know what I'm saying? Her prosthetic leg, and she says she looks at the headpiece, the mask of Casey Jones hanging on his bag that she never got rid of because why would she? Casey, a little help over here. And I'm like, oh wow, she's talking to herself. Then you realize she's actually talking to her daughter, their daughter. That that was really good imagery, really good scenery. I loved that. And it's a great callback. Like if you caught exactly what was happening, it was making us think that she was crazy. In fact, she's probably the most sane one there. This was a fantastic book, and just nothing but applause for this man. Worth the wait. But can we get issue number three in a halfway decent, reasonable time? It always bugs me when they go and make a story and they don't actually finish it before they're ready to put it out. Like, why wouldn't you have all four issues finished, completed, before you actually put it out? This way, oh look, there's a huge buzz for it. Let's see what would have happened if Donatello was the final turtle who survived. Let's see what would have happened. Anyway, whatever, it is what it is. Can't wait to see how everybody else winds up biting the bucket. Biting the bucket, is that what you say? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Um, Kicking the bucket, biting the bullet. Hey, I figured it out on my own. um, Casey's death is going to be particularly moving, I think, and also Leonardo's, because Casey's the guy who's just trying really hard. Leonardo's the guy who just, despite the odds, he's always going to be. You'd always figure like he's going to be, if everybody else quits, he's going to be the last one who's going to keep going. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I think his is particularly going to be moving for me, but we'll see. We'll see. Like all of this was more like this was an honorable way to go. It was a stupid way to go, but sometimes those two things work simultaneously, hand in hand, right? Anyway, guys, fantastic story. Really looking forward to the next issue. Talk to you guys later. Like the video. Check out comicbookuniversity.com, comicbookuni.com. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.